So when we were prepping for this, you were talking about how salespeople are notoriously difficult to educate. So how do you can take the horse to water, how do you get them to drink at Symantec?
You prove to them the value of it. And one of the ways that...
Example?
One of the ways we did it is we actually spoon-fed our account teams with the information. So we found them, we gave this to the senior account managers and directors while we were in Europe, and said to them, we will give you the information prior to you going into an account. So they told us when their account meeting was. We then prepared them. We told them what the market is, opportunity that they're in, what's happening in their vertical markets, who their competitors are that are in those accounts, and any successes they were having. And then from the FirstRain side of things, we also then took out what the significant movements are for that customer that is happening, so they understood it fully. You know, and we drilled down. And like I say, this took me, the whole thing probably took me 10 minutes. Yeah, the FirstRain part of it took me less than a minute because I just pressed the button. The rest of it I just pull from other sources, and it comes as a PDF, and the guys take it with them. You know, and it worked for me.
So I was in the data business for a while, so this is interesting to me. So the degree to which you can pour your content right into his template, how long does that take you and your team? And the other question I have for you is, what are your data sources?
So we use the web.
So you're straight
open web.
Okay, so that's the only data you get from them is just straight data.
Yeah.
And what we do is we do analytics on top of it, and so derive a lot of very interesting information about what's happening. But our theory is the real-time information is on the web, it's not in a database. You know, some analyst hasn't poured over it for 3 or 4 days. Our role is that the salesperson gets this instant, unique view, and it's raw web data, but been pulled and analyzed so that the salesperson's just seeing the highly relevant information to them. But it's the web, which frankly is the reflection of the human race right now. It's the reflection of business, but it's very difficult to use because it's so noisy. And so our technology basically takes it and turns it into a business intelligence type database. The project to just take the data into SymBrain was 3 weeks beginning to end.
So what was it about her offering? Because there are a lot of companies that do what FirstRain does, I think. I mean, current analysis and a few others. What was it that differentiated them in your mind?
It was again, down to simplicity. I could pull from any sources that, you know, FirstRain pulled from, allows me to do traditional sources and new sources that are in there. Plus, one, we had a working relationship anyway, so we knew how, she understands how my mind works, which is scary, but, you know, and she pulls that together. But having, the way it was laid out and the simplicity of using it, I have users, you know, when we log in Europe, when we first did it, we had something like 40 odd users, and it took them 1 hour to learn how to use the system. And that was set up for repeatable feeds that are out there. And we use them, by the way, Veritas, who was a company that Symantec bought many years ago, used to contract with FirstRain before when it was just an RSS feed. So it was simplicity. And seeing reports, and if there's salespeople in the room, apologies, you have to spoon feed salespeople with things that make a difference. And they have to be simple. So the chart at the top that shows significant activities, you put your cursor over it, you can see whether the stock went up, stock went down, if they were being acquired, something happened. On the right-hand side, you can immediately see the movement in and out. They're the major macro activities that a salesperson wants to see. If you confuse them with detail, they go away from it. And that's what some of the other companies do. They put too much in there. They're like, we can do all this. Well, I know you can, because I could do that over 3 days. But in this, it takes me 9 seconds to go by the time it comes out of the printer. And that was the key thing that's on there.
All the technology is the power of the technology is what Kevin described. It's easy to get lots of stuff. It's really hard to get the 5 things you need to know. And we started selling to Wall Street portfolio managers who have the attention span of a gnat. And that's where we honed the technology. So now when we take it to a salesperson who isn't very different from a portfolio manager, it's how do you get just the things you need, not everything. That's the power.
Yeah.
Well, so it's interesting that the adoption was, it's hard for a major customer to evaluate something that's going to go online straight away. So Kevin actually started with pure email reports. just receiving email reports. The sales guys read this email reports. As they got more and more comfortable that it was just highly relevant content, then they would go into the system. So it takes a lot for a salesperson to actually go into a piece of software, right? So they'd go into the system, and then as they got more comfortable with that, Kevin phoned me up and said, you know what, we want to put this in SymBrain. Can you take the same field and put it in? And we said yes. But they eased their way into it, because if you just dump a system on a sales team, they go, oh, another system, I don't want to use it. And at the salesperson level, one of the things that we support Symantec with is, if you're a salesperson in the UK and you have 5 accounts, the reports you get from FirstRain are not about the macro results for those accounts. They're about the results that are relevant specifically to the product lines that those people are being asked to sell. So we cross the macro company information against models of the market trends that Symantec has told us are interesting, and that's the filter that's applied before the salesperson gets a report. It's one of the ways that you get salespeople information that is just relevant to them, instead of seeing general macro stuff which may or may not be interesting to them.
One of the nice things about FirstRain, and yeah, part of your question was, if I find something missing, it's in there within a week.
It's a bug. It's a bug. If you find a problem, it's a bug.
If I'm missing something, whether it's looking at the FTSE, the NASDAQ, what have you, I want all different accounts in there, I want a certain thing, within a week I can have it in there. That is in there. That gives me, that's the ability I have to have. I'm a corporate. I turn slowly, and that's how corporates work, unfortunately. What I have is partners that work very quickly to allow me to provide value very quickly. And that's one of the things that FirstRain does do, and it allows me to do that.
Other questions? Great, thank you, Kevin.
Pleasure. Thank you.